The last 48 hours have brought whispers from around the league that could fundamentally alter the trajectory of the Los Angeles Lakers franchise. While the nation watched our Christmas Day victory, something was developing behind closed doors that demands immediate attention from every Lakers fan who cares about where this team is headed. Welcome to Lakers News Fan Report, your most trusted source for everything purple and gold, where you get the breaking news, the strategic analysis, and the insider perspective that connects you directly to what's really happening with our Los Angeles Lakers. This is where the real story gets told, and I promise you, what we're discussing today has the potential to define the next era of Lakers basketball. Let me paint the full picture for you, because understanding the magnitude of what's unfolding requires looking at multiple layers of this situation. Anthony Davis has been the cornerstone of this franchise since that transformative trade back in 2019 that brought him from New Orleans to Los Angeles. The partnership with LeBron James produced a championship in the bubble, created memorable playoff runs, and established AD as one of the most dominant two-way big men in the entire league. His ability to protect the rim, switch onto guards, score efficiently from all three levels, and elevate his game in crucial moments made him exactly the type of player championship teams are built around. But here's the uncomfortable reality that we need to address head-on. This season has been marked by the same pattern that's followed Davis throughout much of his career. The injury concerns, the games missed, the constant uncertainty about whether he'll be available when we need him most. Through the early portion of this campaign, Davis has already dealt with multiple ailments that have kept him out of the lineup or limited his effectiveness when he does play. And while nobody questions his talent when healthy, availability matters, especially for a franchise with championship aspirations and limited championship windows remaining. The statistics tell one story. When Davis is on the court this season, he's averaging impressive numbers that remind everyone why he's considered elite. His scoring efficiency remains high, his rebounding and defensive presence anchor the entire team, and his ability to impact winning is undeniable. The Lakers perform significantly better when number 3 is in uniform, and that's been consistent throughout his tenure in Los Angeles. But the games missed tell another story, one that's increasingly difficult for the organization to ignore as they evaluate long-term roster construction and strategic planning. Now, here's where the situation becomes genuinely complicated and demands serious consideration from everyone in the Lakers organization. Davis is 32 years old, heading into the latter stages of his prime, and his contract situation creates both opportunity and challenge for Los Angeles. The front office faces a critical decision point that will shape this franchise for years to come. Do they commit long-term to Davis with a maximum extension, betting that his best basketball is still ahead and that the injury concerns will diminish? Or do they explore other options, potentially considering what return they could receive if they decided to move him while his value remains extremely high across the league? I need you to understand something crucial before we go any further. This isn't about questioning Davis's commitment to the Lakers or his desire to bring another championship to Los Angeles. Everyone who knows AD understands he is a consummate professional who loves this organization and this city. This is about the harsh realities of NBA roster management, about maximizing assets, about positioning the franchise for sustained success rather than short-term thinking. These are the conversations that happen in every organization when dealing with star players, and the Lakers are no exception. Reports have started circulating that other teams around the league are monitoring Davis's situation closely. And when I say monitoring, I'm talking about franchises that would absolutely love to acquire a player of his caliber if he ever became available. Think about what AD represents to a team trying to take that final step toward contention. He's a proven champion, a player who's performed on the biggest stages, someone who can be the best player on a title-winning team. That's incredibly rare in today's NBA, and organizations understand the value proposition he presents. The New York Knicks have been mentioned specifically as a team that would have interest if Davis ever became available. Consider their current roster construction with Karl-Anthony Towns and their collection of wing defenders. Adding someone like Davis would create a front court that could match up with anyone in the league. They have the assets to put together a compelling package, including quality rotation players and draft capital that could help the Lakers retool their roster around a different core. Would that be enough to pry AD away from Los Angeles? That's the question that has people talking in league circles, but New York isn't the only team that would come calling. Contending teams that need that final piece, rebuilding teams that want to accelerate their timeline, organizations with cap flexibility and draft picks to offer, they would all line up for the opportunity to acquire Anthony Davis. His combination of offensive versatility and defensive impact is virtually impossible to replicate, and teams understand that acquiring a player of his caliber doesn't happen often. The trade market for a healthy, productive Davis would be incredibly robust, potentially bringing back assets that could transform the Lakers' roster construction. Let me walk you through what a potential trade scenario could look like, not because I'm advocating for it, but because understanding the possibilities helps us comprehend the full scope of what the organization is weighing. Imagine a package that brings back multiple rotation players who can contribute immediately, a young player with upside who fits the Lakers' timeline, and draft capital that provides flexibility for future moves. That type of return would give Los Angeles the ability to reshape their roster, address multiple positions of need, and potentially extend their competitive window by pivoting to a younger core while LeBron is still performing at an elite level. The financial component cannot be ignored in these discussions. Davis is on a maximum contract that runs through the next few seasons, and any extension would push his salary even higher as he enters his mid-30s. For a franchise like the Lakers that's always operating near or above the luxury tax threshold, that money represents significant resources that could be allocated differently. Multiple quality role players, emerging talent, financial flexibility to make moves at the trade deadline or in free agency, these are all considerations when evaluating whether to commit to a long-term extension or explore alternative paths forward. Now I want to shift to the perspective that I genuinely believe makes the most sense for the Lakers, and this is where my optimism about the future of this franchise really comes through. Despite all the speculation, despite the injury concerns, despite the complexity of the situation, I think keeping Anthony Davis and building around him remains the best path forward for Los Angeles. Here's why that conviction is stronger than ever as I analyze this situation comprehensively. First, let's talk about what Davis brings that simply cannot be replaced through any trade package. His defensive versatility is arguably unmatched in the modern NBA. He can protect the rim like a traditional center, switch onto guards in pick-and-roll situations, recover in help defense, and quarterback the entire defensive scheme. Finding another player who provides that level of comprehensive defensive impact is virtually impossible. Any trade return, no matter how attractive on paper, would leave a massive hole on the defensive end that would be incredibly difficult to fill through free agency or other trades. Second, the chemistry and partnership between Davis and LeBron James, while it hasn't produced multiple championships yet, remains one of the most formidable duos in basketball when both are healthy and engaged. They understand each other's games, they've been through playoff battles together, and they know what it takes to win at the highest level. Breaking up that partnership while LeBron is still playing at this level seems counterproductive to the ultimate goal of winning championships. You don't easily walk away from that type of proven two-man game, especially when the supporting cast can be upgraded around them. Third, and this is critical, the Lakers are not in a rebuilding situation. This franchise doesn't rebuild, it reloads. The expectation is always to compete for championships, and trading Davis would send a signal that contradicts that identity. Yes, the return could be substantial, but it would also mean admitting that the current championship window is closing and that we're pivoting to a different timeline. I don't believe that's where this organization is or should be right now. We're in position to contend, we have the pieces to compete, and keeping Davis is central to maintaining that contention status. The injury concerns are legitimate, nobody is dismissing them, but they need to be contextualized properly. Davis has shown throughout his career that when he's healthy for the playoffs, he's one of the most impactful players in basketball. The regular season availability issues are frustrating, but they're also manageable if the organization approaches load management strategically. Perhaps the answer isn't trading him, but rather being smarter about how we use him during the regular season to ensure he's at full strength when the games matter most. That's the lesson we should be learning, rather than looking to move on from a generational talent. Looking at the roster construction around Davis, there are absolutely areas that need improvement. The Lakers need more shooting, more perimeter creation, better depth at key positions, but those needs can be addressed through trades for role players, through the buyout market, through strategic free agent additions. You don't need to trade your best player to improve the supporting cast. In fact, the presence of Davis and LeBron makes Los Angeles an attractive destination for veterans who want to chase championships, and that recruiting advantage shouldn't be underestimated. The front office has shown over the past few seasons that they're willing to be aggressive in improving the roster. The moves for players who can contribute immediately, the draft picks spent on talent that fits the timeline, the coaching change to bring in fresh perspective, these all demonstrate a commitment to maximizing the current window. Trading Davis would contradict that entire approach and waste all the effort that's gone into building this current iteration of the Lakers. Continuity and calculated improvements make more sense than wholesale change at this stage. I also want to address the elephant in the room regarding Davis's age and trajectory. Yes, he's 32, but big men who take care of their bodies and have his skill set can remain productive well into their mid-30s. His game isn't predicated solely on athleticism. He has the shooting touch, the basketball IQ, the technical skills that age well in the NBA. With proper management and a commitment to staying healthy, Davis could have another 5 years of elite play ahead of him. Writing him off now or worrying about decline that hasn't materialized yet would be premature and potentially catastrophic for the franchise. The Lakers' championship equity right now is built around the Davis-LeBron partnership. That's the foundation. That's what makes them a team that other contenders have to take seriously. Remove Davis from that equation, and suddenly you're relying on LeBron at 40 years old to carry a retooled roster that's trying to develop chemistry on the fly. That's not a recipe for championship success. That's a recipe for wasting what could be LeBron's final seasons while hoping the pieces you acquired in return develop quickly enough to matter. That's a gamble I'm not comfortable taking with this franchise's legacy. What needs to happen instead is a collaborative conversation between Davis, LeBron, the coaching staff, and the front office about how to maximize this group. That means honest discussions about load management, about playoff preparation, about what type of supporting cast would make everyone more effective. It means Davis committing to doing everything possible to stay healthy and available, while the organization commits to building the best possible team around him and LeBron. It means everyone sacrificing individual preferences for collective success. The Lakers also need to be aggressive in addressing roster needs through other means. That might mean making trades that don't involve Davis, but do bring in shooting and perimeter defense. It might mean being creative with the mid-level exception or minimum contracts to add veterans who understand their roles. It might mean developing the young talent already on the roster and trusting that internal improvement from players like Austin Reeves and Rui Hachimura can elevate the ceiling of this team. There are multiple paths to improvement that don't require trading your best player. I genuinely believe that the Lakers' best basketball this season is still ahead of them. We're going to see stretches where Davis is healthy and dominant, where the team clicks defensively, where everything comes together and reminds people why this roster has championship potential. Those glimpses are what should inform decision-making, not the frustrating early-season injury issues that have plagued too many campaigns. Trust in the talent, trust in the process, trust that when it matters most, this group can deliver. So here's my bottom line as someone who watches this team obsessively and cares deeply about where we're headed. Anthony Davis should remain a Laker for the foreseeable future. The franchise should commit to him, extend him when the time comes, and build the best possible supporting cast to maximize the championship window. The alternative paths, while interesting to discuss theoretically, don't lead anywhere better than where we currently are. We have a generational talent who's proven he can win here, and walking away from that would be organizational malpractice. Now, I need to hear from Lakers Nation on this incredibly important topic. Do you agree that Davis should remain the centerpiece of this franchise, or do you think the injury concerns warrant exploring trade options? Would you be willing to take back a package of players and picks in exchange for AD, or is keeping him non-negotiable regardless of what's offered? How do you evaluate his long-term value to this organization, given his age and health history? What moves would you make to improve the roster around him and LeBron? I want every single one of you to weigh in on this in the comments right now, because these are the conversations that matter to the future of our team. If you're not already subscribed to Lakers News Fan Report, this is your moment to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. We're breaking down every major development with this franchise, providing the analysis that connects all the dots, and giving you the platform to voice your opinions alongside fellow Lakers fans who live and breathe this team. Share this video with everyone in your Lakers circles. Let's get this conversation going across the entire fan base, and let's build this community into the premier destination for intelligent Lakers discourse. Like this video if you appreciate the depth we go into on these topics, and let's keep growing together. This is Lakers News Fan Report, where we keep it real about our Los Angeles Lakers every single day. Anthony Davis's future is one of the most important storylines of this season, and I'll be here tracking every development, every report, every nuance that impacts where this is all headed. Stay locked in, stay engaged, and most importantly, stay purple and gold faithful. Lakers Nation, we're in this together